Last week, I was extremely lucky to be invited to an exclusive event at the PlayStation UK office in London to get hands-on, or should I say, face-on, with the upcoming PSVR2 headset. In this video, I'm excited to be able to share some of my early first impressions trying the new hardware, testing out some of the new features, along with playing 4 VR games that will be launching on PSVR2 in the future. At this time, we still don't know the price or exactly when this headset is going to launch, other than sometime early next year. But make sure you're subscribed to the channel, as I'll be covering this headset in more detail over the coming months leading up to its release and beyond. So let's get right into it. The PSVR2 is a huge upgrade over its predecessor, adopting some of the most cutting-edge technology available right now. It has a resolution of 2000 by 2040 pixels per eye that runs at 90 or 120 Hz with a 110-degree field of view. It simply connects to the front of a PS5 console using a single USB-C cable, and throughout all of my demos, I found being tethered wasn't really an issue as the cable is lightweight and pretty long at around 5 meters. Putting the headset on for the very first time, I was immediately impressed with how the soft rubber face gasket contours to your face, blocking out all the surrounding light so you're completely immersed in the headset. The setup process was really intuitive, with a quick play space setup where the headset actually scans your environment to create a safe play space which automatically avoids any furniture and obstacles. Once my IPD was dialed in and the eye tracking was calibrated, it was straight into my first demo, which happened to be Resident Evil Village. It started in this dark and damp cellar, which immediately showed off the headset's high-resolution OLED displays with high dynamic range. When stepping out into this snowy courtyard from the cellar, the contrast from the dark into the light was really impressive, and I found myself regularly stopping to take in the sheer scale of the looming Castle Dimitrescu. It wasn't long before my sightseeing was interrupted by the rumbling of the headset haptic feedback motor as I was surrounded by flies and knocked to my feet by the 3 daughters. This headset haptic feedback just added an extra layer of immersion to the experience, especially as it was used sparingly throughout the demo just to highlight key moments of imminent danger. Throughout my demo, there were a couple of scenes like this where you, the player, are being pushed around, and during these moments, you're not actually in control of the character's head movement. Personally, I don't mind being thrown around by a tall vampire lady on the weekends, as I'm practically immune to VR motion sickness at this point. However, I do think this experience is going to be really intense for anyone that's new to VR. But that aside, exploring Castle Dimitrescu in VR was great, especially being able to take in all this glorious detail. I was able to find myself a handgun and shoot my way through some enemies, which was really fun, and one cool feature is that you can physically raise your hands by your head to block incoming enemy attacks. My only other gripe, aside from the cutscenes, is that I would have wanted to been able to cup the bottom of the pistol grip with my offhand to stabilize my shots, but maybe this is something that can be added to the game prior to its release sometime next year. Moving on, I was pleasantly surprised to see that Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge is coming to PSVR2 with this special enhanced edition. Having played the game previously on Quest 2, I was familiar with the world and its characters, but I'd never seen them like this before. The cantina environment, Cecil Slack, the bartender, and Mubo all looked incredible with this high-fidelity experience that really made me feel like I was part of the Star Wars universe. After a short mission briefing, I headed out into the wilds of Batuu to recover some crashed cargo and take on the Gawavian Death Gang. What really impressed me during this demo, aside of course from the amazing visuals, was the implementation of the adaptive triggers on the PSVR2's Sense controllers. There were a variety of weapons at my disposal throughout the demo, but with the adaptive triggers, each weapon had a different level of resistance on their trigger pull, and this made every weapon I encountered feel unique to fire. It was a small detail, but it was something I noticed straight away, and it just added something special to the experience. Whilst on the subject of the controllers, it was in this demo that I could really put the headset's inside-out tracking to the test. The PSVR2 uses 4 tracking cameras located on the headset's front plate to track the headset and the controller's movements. When using two-handed weapons in the demo, like the shotgun and the rifle, I naturally held the controllers out in front of one another to aim down the sights. Now, this movement can be troublesome with other VR headsets, but the PSVR2 handled this just fine without any loss of tracking. Despite having already played the game before on Quest 2, I got completely immersed in the experience once again, and before I knew it, to my great disappointment, my time in Batuu was up. So moving on, it was time to try something much darker and scarier, as next up was The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution. If you saw my Gamescom VR Roundup video last week, you'll know that this is one of my highlights from the show, and it's a title I'm extremely excited about. Before jumping into the game though, I found myself struggling to find the correct orientation of the controllers to put them on correctly due to the way that they're designed. Thankfully, the developers were on hand and kindly pointed out that you can just push the function button on the bottom of the headset to activate a pass-through mode, and this allowed me to clearly see the controllers and put them on properly. The pass-through mode is in black and white, but it's very sharp and clear, and it's going to be a really useful feature to quickly be able to see your surroundings or to be able to have a quick conversation with someone without the need of taking the headset off. Back to the game though, one thing I love about this sequel and the original game of course, is the characters you encounter throughout the experience. They always have a story to tell, which does a great job of setting the tone and drawing you into this dark and gritty world. As the name suggests, your actions, whether being a saint or a sinner, can directly influence the outcome of the game, so you'll have to choose wisely. In the demo, I headed out into the walker-infested streets of New Orleans during the dead of the night on a mission to find a preacher who's causing a stir and deliver him a warning. What really struck me was just how dark the game was at night thanks to the OLED displays with high dynamic range. Instead of being a wash of grey like I'm used to with other headsets, the sky was jet black, and I really struggled to see what was going on in the darkness without lighting the way with my torch. As expected, things got out of hand really quickly, and I was lucky I was wearing my brown trousers on the day so I didn't embarrass myself in front of the developers. Dispatching hordes of the undead was crazy fun with a huge variety of weaponry, including this incredibly satisfying chainsaw. And last but by no means least, I got to play Horizon Call of the Mountain. At this point in the day, I'd been inside the PSVR2 headset for over 3 hours, and I'm pleased to report that the head strap was really comfortable and well balanced on my bold little head. The only gripe I had with comfort was that I have a low IPD of around 62mm, which caused the lenses to sit quite close to the bridge of my nose, causing a little discomfort. This is something that I'll have to play around with once I have more time with the device, but it's just something I thought was worth mentioning. But back to the game, I have to say, this one completely blew me away. I remember seeing the trailer when the game was originally announced and thinking it looked incredible, but it actually looks even better in the headset. The introduction to Call of the Mountain is hands down one of the best I've ever experienced in a VR game. The storytelling, the visuals, the scale, the action, everything combined just throws you right into the world of Horizon that many of us know and love. Having a stormbird swoop down above your head and taking in the sheer scale of a tall neck during this introduction was truly breathtaking. I won't go into any more detail as you really should experience this one for yourself. A bit later on, I was right in the thick of it, taking on machines with my trusty bow. The combat felt great with the adaptive triggers providing tension when pulling back on the bowstring, and soon enough, I was nailing those precision shots with great satisfaction. In between the bouts of action, I found myself exploring the gorgeous environment. There's also these awesome climbing sections which serve well to break up the gameplay, and looking down during these sections really gave me this fantastic knee-trembling sense of vertigo. I should mention that this isn't just a 20-minute tech demo like many thought it would be. I've been told by the game's developers that this will take most players around 7 to 8 hours to complete. And I can completely understand why, as during the demo I found myself stopping just to take in the extremely impressive surroundings and search each part of the environment to find collectibles. According to the developers, this level of detail and fidelity is only possible by leveraging the eye tracking technology in the PSVR2 headset to enable dynamic foveated rendering. Now, this works by only rendering the image at maximum resolution exactly where your eyes are looking in real time, and then reducing the image quality on the outside of your peripheral vision. This saves on system performance, as it doesn't have to render the full image across the whole display. And the best part is, the eye tracking works so well, you don't even notice this working. It really is some next level VR wizardry. To round up this demo, I faced a Thunderjaw in an epic showdown, and I just can't articulate just how intimidating this machine is in VR. The sheer scale of this thing is insane, and my heart was racing throughout this fight, and it took everything I had learned throughout the demo to eventually take this beast down. I can tell you now, this game will be a system seller, and already, in my opinion, just from this short demo, is a must-buy title if you're looking at getting a PSVR2 in the future. So after all the demos were done, I took some time to reflect on the day and my experiences. And I'm over the moon to see PlayStation put such a lot of time and effort into making the best VR headset they possibly can, and really leveraging their strengths in the gaming industry by bringing these high quality games to virtual reality. The closest comparison to the quality of the VR experience provided by the PSVR2 is that of a high-end gaming PC. But PSVR2 content will have the added benefit of being highly optimized for a single system, and also leveraging the use of eye tracking to push the quality even further with dynamic foveated rendering. This is something we've just not seen on the PC side yet. This, of course, is without even mentioning some of the other unique PSVR2 features, such as the headset haptics, HDR displays, and the awesome adaptive triggers on the Sense controllers. The lineup of content for PSVR2 is already looking good from what I played at the event, but we also know that No Man's Sky and a new Firewall game called Firewall Ultra will be coming to PSVR2 next year. I still have my fingers crossed for a VR mode for Gran Turismo and an all-new Astrobot game, but sadly the team at PlayStation wouldn't give anything away at the event. If PlayStation can maintain momentum with regular quality releases post-launch, then it will become the destination for gamers looking for the most compelling VR gaming experience, as quality content has been sorely lacking on both PC and Quest this year. Overall, I left the event thoroughly impressed with what I saw, and it makes me extremely excited for the future of PlayStation VR2. So that's a wrap on my time at the PlayStation event in London. As a huge PlayStation fan, the whole experience was a real dream come true for me, and I'll be forever grateful to the team at PlayStation for this incredible opportunity to try the hardware early. There's so much more I could talk about in this video, such as the 3D audio, the lens design, the haptics, the finger detection with the capacitive touch sensors on the controllers, and much, much more, but I'll save all those juicy details for a more in-depth video in the future. If you have any burning questions though, please just drop them in the comments below, and I'll do my very best to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Also, please feel free to let me know what you think of the PSVR2 headset, and which of the games I played are you personally most excited for. I'm super intrigued, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a little like if you're as hyped as I am. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to see all my future PSVR2 content, and as always, I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers.